One morning, Elkwood vanished. No sirens. No headlines. No warning. Just boarded windows, silent homes, and roads leading nowhere. A town of over 1,200 people simply disappeared overnight. And outside of those who lived there, no one noticed. Not the press. Not the state. Not even the neighbors next door. This is the untold story of the town that was erased and the lives forced to disappear with it. Elkwood, Missouri. A town so ordinary, it felt invisible even before it vanished. Main Street had one diner, a barbershop, and a grocery store run by a couple who knew every customer by name. The church bell rang every Sunday at 10. Kids rode their bikes without helmets. Doors stayed unlocked at night. It was the kind of town people leave behind in search of something bigger, but for the ones who stayed, Elkwood was everything. Founded in 1896 and nestled between quiet hills and farmland, Elkwood thrived on coal, limestone, and eventually, chemicals. Just 4 miles outside town stood the Krylon Chemistry Plant, a facility no one really asked about, because it kept the economy afloat. It offered jobs. It paid for Little League uniforms. It sponsored the 4th of July fireworks. But it also leaked. And what seeped into the ground slowly poisoned the town from beneath its feet. By the early 1990s, something felt wrong. People were getting sick. Too many, too fast. A 9-year-old girl diagnosed with bone cancer. A 42-year-old mother of 3 with sudden kidney failure. 2 dogs in the same block, both died with seizures. Water tasted off. Showers smelled metallic. A nurse at the local clinic documented a spike in birth defects, but when she reported it, her files went missing. Then came the trucks. White government vans. Plainclothes men with clipboards. Hazmat suits. Soil samples. Quiet whispers. Residents were told the EPA was just checking up on groundwater. That it was routine. But nothing about it felt routine. On April 2, 1993, a letter arrived for a handful of families. No return address. No explanation. Just instructions. Due to contamination risk in your area, evacuate immediately. Speak to no one. Wait for further contact. Some families left that night, bags half-packed, kids confused. Others didn't get a letter at all. Then, over the next 72 hours, buses arrived. Quietly. At night. Homes were emptied. Yards were left with toys still scattered across them. Mailboxes still full. By April 5, Elkwood was almost entirely deserted. The post office was locked. The school bell never rang again. Even the town's records were pulled from the county archive. It was as if Elkwood never existed. No official evacuation order was ever released to the public. The Krylon Chemistry Plant continued operating for 6 more years before mysteriously closing its doors. No lawsuits. No press coverage. Just a fence, and warnings not to trespass. When reporters asked about the disappearance of Elkwood, state officials called it a land management adjustment. When a former town councilman spoke out, his family was served with a legal gag order within a week. One woman, Dolene Hartman, a former teacher in Elkwood, was one of the only voices who refused to be silenced. They poisoned us. Then they paid us to shut up. They bought our silence with relocation checks and threats. I still remember the faces of my students. Some of them didn't live to grow up. Her words sparked a tiny ripple, but no justice. Most residents had signed NDAs. Many were relocated hundreds of miles apart. Others just disappeared altogether. They weren't just forced out of their homes. They were forced out of history. Today, the land where Elkwood once stood is fenced off. No trespassing. No signage. No explanation. Locals in nearby towns call it the zone. Teens tell ghost stories about it. But almost no one remembers the real story. There are no memorials. No plaques. Not even a mention on Missouri's public records site. It's as if the town and the people who lived there were swallowed by the earth itself. But memory isn't so easy to bury. Photos survive. So do scars. And so do voices like Dolene's, trembling, but still speaking. What happened in Elkwood wasn't an accident. It was a decision. A decision to protect profit over people. To erase instead of repair. To silence instead of admit. And that choice carries weight even decades later. When a town disappears, it leaves more than just empty streets behind. It leaves questions. It leaves grief. And it leaves the truth hidden just beneath the surface, waiting to be told. This is the untold side, where every silence has a voice. If this story moved you, share it. Because some stories aren't just forgotten, they're buried. And we are here to dig them up.